Business ecology is a new field that synthesizes centuries of cultural wisdom, a close observation of natural system, and proven business success strategies such as strategic planning and total quality management. It emulates nature's system designed to provide a harmonious relationship-oriented approach that reveals how your organization really works. We are the Group 3 of BSBA 1E, and this presentation applies principles that would help you integrate profitability, stakeholder relation, and environmental performance, giving your organization the natural edge in emerging ecological economy. We hope that you enjoy watching.
To deal intelligently with the question of business responsibilities for the environment, one must realize that a business uses energy and materials, discharges waste, and produces products and services. It is functioning within an ecological system. Ecology shows the interaction of organisms with their environment. Every living organism affects its environment, yet Homo sapiens possesses the power to upset dramatically the stability of natural ecosystems. Many human commercial activities have unpredictable and disruptive consequences for ecosystems. Business must interfere with ecosystems because it is our society's major instrument of production. Business must scrupulously avoid actions, practices, and policies that have an unfavorable impact on the environment due to the interconnectedness of ecosystems and the fact that intrusions typically result in serious negative effects.
Social problem is a condition that many people believe is harmful. There are conditions such as lacking enough money to buy basic necessities that can deeply affect an individual. There are two components in social problem. One is the objective component that involves the empirical evidences of the negative consequences of a social condition, while the subjective component involves the perception that the condition is indeed a problem that needs to be addressed. In learning more about social problem, it is necessary to know the basic components of the social structure and culture. A major aspect of social structure is social stratification. This involves the inequality among people with regards to important social factors, including access to education, income, property, power, and prestige, whereas social structure refers to how society is organized, while the culture refers to the knowledge, ways of thinking, and shared understanding of behavior, and physical objects that characterize a people's way of life.
Values define what is good and worth working for. People's values can influence whether they view specific conditions as social problems. In order to uphold values, society norms provide the standard for behavior. Shared rules for behavior is called norms, and the modest norms is called folkways. It is general expectation in particular social situations, like shaking hands when being introduced to someone new. Morals are widely observed norms, with greater moral significance such as respectful behavior at a religious service. Laws are rules or behavior enforced by government or a binding practice of a community. Beliefs are the ideas people have about what is true and how things should be, and it can be based on experiences. Symbol is thing that represent for something else, like a red octagon, common symbol for stop. And lastly, the subculture, a set of values and norms shared by a group of people, unique enough to significantly distinguish them from the other member of a culture.
The number of businesses is increasing every day, but the sources from nature are not, which leads to environmental problems. The tendency to view the natural world as free and unlimited goods makes it a problem because it promotes wasteful consumption of them. Businesses damage the environment when they take natural resources from it. The resources aren't unlimited, and if they continue abusing them, we're all going to suffer. Some companies will take actions that will increase their profits even if doing so means risking the environment. The environment could be harmed by pollution, but the damage was underestimated because the world was viewed as a large place. The food we consume, the water we drink, and the air we breathe can all be affected by environmental problems. If these traditional attitudes continue and nothing is done to fix them, we're all going to suffer. We must be aware that this is a serious environmental problem that's facing us today.
Environmental ethics is the study of the moral relationship of human beings to and also the value and moral status of the environment. Is it morally acceptable for farmers in non-industrial countries to use slash and burn techniques to clear area for agriculture? Consider a mining company that has performed open-pit mining in some previously unexplored area. Wrong for human beings to pollute, damage, and to consume a large proportion of the planet's natural resources. Is it because a sustainable environment is essential to human well-being, or is such behavior also wrong because the natural environment and its various contents have certain values in their own right, so that this value ought to be respected and protected in any case?
Businesses and ethicists debate environmental responsibility. One follows what only law requires and yield profit, while the other one questions it. So here are the three theories to consider when drawing significantly different conclusions about the said responsibility. First is the anthropocentric or human-centered view. It holds that all environmental responsibility is derived only from human interest. Environment is critical to our survival, so we have an indirect responsibility to ensure that the earth can still provide our needs. Second is the animal rights view, an approach to environmental responsibility based on the moral obligation we have to animals. With this, Peter Singer believes that not only higher animals deserve equal treatment as humans, but also lower animals for they feel the same pleasure and pain. Finally, ecocentrism. It holds that we have direct responsibility to environmental collections. It implies that environment as direct right qualifies for moral personhood, that it deserves direct duty and has inherent worth.
Implication for businesses. The above-mentioned theories have various consequences on businesses' environmental responsibilities. First, anthropocentric perspective. Businesses have an obligation not to harm the environment in ways that endanger human life. Second, animal rights perspective. Businesses are obligated to avoid directly or indirectly harming animals, such as through animal testing, inhumane food production, and destroying animal habitats. Lastly, ecocentric perspective. Companies have a direct obligation to protect the environment, since it is against the law to harm moral community members. The moral and social obligation of business to the environment. Responsibility is an obligation to perform in a specific manner. Every duty has a moral component that imposes obligation and generates expectation. There are two types of duties, requirements and prohibitions. Prohibitions indicate what we must not do. Cheating and stealing are among the don'ts, while requirements are the directive of what we must do. Fairness and respect are among the do's.
Moral obligations arise from three sources. First is laws. It is part of the assumed social contract of a civilized society. Many laws simply codify ethical standards of conduct. Second, promises or agreement. Not all promises recognize and fulfill the moral obligation to do things they agree to do. And lastly, principles. A standard of conduct that exists can be mandated through rational philosophical reasoning. Moving on, there are some initiatives which can be taken by business enterprises for environmental protection, and here's a summary of it. The foremost responsibility of business enterprises is to ensure that they should not damage the environment. To avoid contamination, they shouldn't throw all their hazardous waste in different places. The corporate enterprises should adopt high standards of environmental protection. Businesses need to cultivate, maintain, and develop work culture. Develop, use, and purchase raw materials for pollution control, laws and regulations passed by the government, and to participate with their different programs and training. And lastly, promote green energy that reduces the use of fossil fuels.
Valdez Principle or the Ceres Principle is established to monitor the conduct of corporations related to the environment. This consists of 10 guidelines to inform the public and make reports on their environmental impact. This is created after the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil tanker disaster. The list consists of the following: protection of the biosphere, sustainable use of natural resources, production and disposal of waste, wise use of energy, risk reduction, safe products and services, damage compensation, disclosure, environmental directors and managers, and lastly, annual assessment. As responsible stewards of our environment, businesses must be mindful and seek strategies that will make our environment secure and will not compromise the resources of the future generation.
According to the Environmental Law Review of Mary Ann West 1992, there are 4 main advantages of corporation. To begin with, the first advantage is the positive publicity that substantially supports the image of the eyes of shareholders and consumers. At this age of being consumerist, corporation will experience an impact of reducing costs associated to potential revenues generated by cycling in accordance with age. Corporations that would strengthen the environmental standard would avoid financially devastating environmental disasters. And lastly, favorable investment in that corporation by serious members.
Just like us, business operations do not survive in confinement. Every enterprise is not an island to itself. It subsists, endures, develops within the circumstances of the part and forces of its situation. While an individual enterprise is able to do a minute to change or manage these forces, it has no choice to reacting or modifying according to them. Good knowledge of the environment by business managers allows them not only to recognize and assess, but also to respond to the forces outside their enterprises. As our discussion comes to an end, we once again thank you for allowing us to be here. And remember, every action always affects our environment, and it is better to bring good actions to make our environment healthy.